Welcome everyone to our examinations question and answer session. I'm going to turn it over to our Vice President, David Pyatt, who's here to give an introduction on our examinations before we get into the Q&A session.
Great, excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I think we have rather a large group of people attending from primarily India, but also all over the world. So as Christine mentioned, I'm a vice president of the Ophthalmology Foundation. Beyond this, in the past, I was chairman and CEO of Allergan Inc. for about 17 years. And maybe before we get on to the exams, I'll quickly talk about the Ophthalmology Foundation. We were founded in 2020 by myself, Bruce Spivey, who was an executive vice president of the American Academy of Ophthalmology, a real leader in the International Council of Ophthalmology, Jim Mazo, who was CEO of Abbott Medical Optics, also J&J Vision, and lastly, CEO of Carl Zeiss Meditech. Maybe if we continue about the journey we've had since 2020, we started out by creating a great board of directors made up of leading ophthalmologists from every continent of the world, people who really care about education and training of young ophthalmologists, particularly in low and middle income countries. We also recruited pretty much the CEOs and senior executives of all the eye care companies, from Alcon, Allergan, Bausch & Lomb, Zeiss, and so on. Of course, all of this is only made possible by great teams of volunteers, and I'll talk more about the volunteers enabling the Ophthalmology Foundation exams shortly. In terms of what do we offer? Well, 4 programs. First of all, faculty development. These are symposia held usually alongside major meetings like the American Academy of Ophthalmology or the European Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery or the All India Ophthalmology Society. And this is very much about teaching the didactics of how to educate and inform residents, young ophthalmologists. Of course, different than the what. That would be, how do you impart knowledge, usually pulling on data repositories. A great one would be ONE, the Ophthalmic Network of Education put up by the American Academy of Ophthalmology. So that's faculty development. The next program is fellowships. My colleague Cordula will be speaking later about fellowships and the link with the Ophthalmology Foundation exams. The fellowships are offered in partnership with the International Ophthalmology Fellowships Foundation, which is based in Germany. We've made tremendous progress. Now we're at almost 100 fellowships per year. The majority are 3-month observerships. Some are 6 and some are 12. We also have hands-on training, particularly in India. And the fellows come from typically low and middle income countries, and then they go primarily to Germany, the UK, the US, and to a lesser extent, Australia, but also other countries. Our third program is accreditation, again, really designed for centers in low and middle income countries, really wishing to demonstrate that their standard of training and education is absolutely world best. This is our most recent program and just getting started. And of course, here we are to talk about examinations. Our goal is to be the best modern international exam that exists in the world. It's especially designed for young ophthalmologists and people in practice in countries just like those listening in today. As you've seen from our materials, we have 3 sections: visual sciences, optics, and clinical. When I say modern, this is because we offer it in an online format. This enables us to produce a very fast turnaround. In the March sitting, or diet as it's known in British English, we're able to turn around the results in 11 days. That's after conducting the exams just about in every time zone of the world in 27 hours elapsed time. In putting up this exam, we've really striven to have the highest standards in terms of the question banks, the grading, and we're able to do this because we have such a great group of volunteers, not only from the US and Europe, but from India, Latin America, and other parts of Asia, as well as Africa. When I mentioned that we're online, of course, you might want to know how secure is all of this? Well, invigilation is conducted by the computer because, of course, just as you can watch me on the screen, whether I'm looking away at my papers all the time, if you do that too much, unfortunately, a candidate may be cheating. So in addition to the online invigilation put up by our software and monitoring by our back office provider, we also have in-person invigilation in a group of host centers. And our experience in March was that for every candidate that enrolled, we were able to find a host center pretty close to your place of residence in your country. And in fact, we had a network in March of more than 50 host centers. And already with this new diet on the horizon in September, we're adding host centers several per week. As you've seen from our materials, we offer this exam in partnership with regional and national societies. Today, our key partner is YOSI, or the Young Ophthalmology Society of India. You also see regionally, we're involved with the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology in South America, the African Ophthalmology Council, and all of our work and our standards are based on the American Academy's BCSC, the Basic Clinical Sciences course. And as an arbiter of quality, we have the involvement of Wales and Wilmer, two leading eye institutions in the United States. This year, our goal is to offer almost 1,000 exams. And one thing I can assure you is that we wish to be affordable. As an organization, our goal isn't to make profits. Of course, we want to be above break even because that's the only way to be sustainable for the long term. But if we're really, really successful, I would love to think that we can further reduce prices in the future. So I'll now hand back to the moderator. And of course, my colleagues are here for answering the technical questions, and organizational ones, then put them straight back to me. Thank you. You're on mute, crew.
Thank you, David. I think right now we're going to take a moment to do some introduction of our panelists and their roles. David just introduced himself, so I'd like to move it over to Dr. Carl Gonek.
Good day, everyone. It's good to be here on this webinar, and I am the chair for the Education Committee and until very recently the chair of the Exams Working Committee. And so I'm here to hopefully answer any questions that you have. As David mentioned, we have the accreditation and faculty development, and I'm sort of running the show, I think, with those things right now. So good to be here.
Wonderful. And then next we'll move to Rebecca Ford.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Ford. I'm an ophthalmologist in Bristol in the UK, and my role is that I'm the lead for the visual sciences part of the exam. So that's the first part of the exam.
Great. And then on the staff side, Ms. Nicola Quilter.
Thanks, Christine, and hello everyone that's logged on today. Thank you. My name is Nicola Quilter, and I'm the Examinations Director for the Ophthalmology Foundation. I come with over 20 years experience of international ophthalmic exams.
Great. And then her team under them. Let's see, Vicky first. We'll go reverse alphabetical order.
Hi, my name's Vicky. I'm part of the exams team. I'm looking forward to working on all of you that have attended your exam journey, and any questions, pop us an email. we're here to help.
Thank you. And now, Rosie.
Hello, my name is Rosie and I'm an examinations coordinator along with Vicky here at the Ophthalmology Foundation, and I look forward to supporting you all with your examinations journey as we move forward.
Thank you, Rosie. And then we also have our other primary program leads here, and I'd like to introduce Ms. Cordula Gabel-Obermeyer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cordula. I am from Munich, Germany, and I look back on 16 years of arranging 3 months and 1 year fellowships for the EOFF, for the German Foundation. And whenever you've got any questions, I'm very happy to answer and help you through the application processes. Thank you.
Wonderful. And then you'll also see we have some leadership of YOSI with us as well. And I'll let them introduce themselves briefly now, and then we'll have a section at the end for dedicated conversation there. Dr. Diva?
Yeah, thank you, Christine. So I am Dr. Devakant Mishra. I am presently the president of the Young Ophthalmologist Society. And of course, we'll talk more about YOSI later on. Very happy and excited to be part of this session and to collaborate with the Ophthalmology Foundation.
Thank you. And Dr. Prasanna?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Prasanna Venkatesh Ramesh. I'm a glaucomatologist from Trichy, Tamil Nadu, India, and I'm the Joint Secretary of YOSI, and looking forward to collaborating more with the Ophthalmology Foundation. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're going to get started first with a couple big questions that came up repeatedly. Nicola, would you mind addressing, kind of just general questions around what are the fees and where are the exam center locations? Because I think those are the key questions that come up often.
Yes, thank you, Christine. And a lot of the questions that we received were about fees. And those fees are based on the World Bank Index of each of the countries. And they can be found on the online registration portal. And the portal can be accessed through the Ophthalmology Foundation website. Regarding the host centres, we have a full list of exam centres that have hosted for us in March and have subsequently the new ones that have joined on the Ophthalmology Foundation website. If you go on and your country or your desired location isn't visible, then when you log on to the portal, please select Other and type your desired location, and we will do our best to find a host centre as close to your desired location as possible. And just to give you some background on that, we had over 100 applicants for the March exam, and everyone was given their desired location. So we work really hard to accommodate everyone as close to where they would like to take the exam as possible. So hopefully this reduces your travel time.
Great. And then we've got, kind of a core set of questions that we received that we're going to go through. And then Vicky is answering questions in the Q&A for you right now if other questions come up. And then after we get through this initial set of questions, we'll move to an open Q&A of questions that we've received right now. So we're going to start with Carl. And the question we received that we'd like you to answer is, what is the difference between the Ophthalmology Foundation examinations and the ICO exams? And should candidates take both?
Right. So I was involved with the ICO for many, many years, and I was a member of the ICO exams committee until 2020. So my knowledge of the ICO exams, frankly, ends about that time. But certainly the similarities were that they have the same type of exams, sort of a basic science and optics, and then a clinical exam. To my knowledge, I don't know exactly what's going on right now with the exams, because most of the people, if not all of the people that were involved on the exams committee, including the exams director, Nicola, were all left and became part of the Ophthalmology Foundation. So I don't know how current their exam is. I can tell you that we do believe that that exam was very good up until 2022, because that's when most of us were still involved with the exam process. So we are indeed offering exemptions to people, for instance, who have passed the basic science or the optics before 2022, and they can be exempt from our first exams and take the clinical science exam. However, we have no idea really about the quality of the exam since that time, and so there will be no reciprocity for passing their exam afterwards. Certainly, I don't think there's at this point any reason to take both of the exams at this time. So, and I guess, you know, I can't comment really expertly on the differences, because all I know is that our exam, as was already said, is very current. And we have a great group of experts in all fields of ophthalmology that are writing the questions in a very, very robust method for assuring that the questions are, of course, accurate, but also well-written questions. I think that is my answer to that question. Christine?
Thank you, Carl. So within that, Rebecca, would you be able to provide some study process and tips for people to prepare?
Sure, yeah. I think by the time everybody takes this exam, they've already done quite a lot of ophthalmology. So the main thing is, don't panic. You probably already know a lot, but try and be a little bit organized about it. So have a look at the syllabus, make sure you know what's going to come up in the exam and that you've studied all of the topics that are going to come up. And don't spend too much time on the things that are not on the syllabus. And if you want to know what we're basing the exam on, if you look at the basic clinical sciences course from the AAO, then it won't necessarily be that the answers are in those books, but the list of the topics are going to be in those books, and the core syllabus is based on those books. So find yourself some reference texts that you get on with, that you find easy to read. And then I think another tip is do lots of practice questions. So find MCQs, there's some available online, there's different books that have been published, and try and use them to identify your weak points. Look at the things that are on the syllabus that maybe you're not so confident with. Be honest with yourself and try to split your study so that you study the things that you're less confident with more and devote more time to those. For some people, it works to study in a group as well. So it might be worth finding other people. You know, if you're within YOSI, for example, you might want to form some study groups within your organization where you can split the workload, maybe identify some topics that you find difficulty with and get each other to set questions or do flashcards or present a topic so that you each cover the complicated things. It may be that you study better with sort of other, like maybe you're a more visual learner and you want to watch videos. So there's a lot available on YouTube. And for those of you in the lower income countries, there's a lot of free resources out there as well. You know, things like Cybersight's completely free, iWiki, and there is a list on the IOFF exams website as well about where you can find relevant resources to the exam. So yeah, I think that's most of my tips really. Again, it's practical study tips that you've probably mastered already while you're at med school and studying up till this point, but consider making notes, summarize things, try to embed your learning. And the other key thing is give yourself enough time. You know, because it's an international standard, these are going to be quite tough exams. So, you know, you need more than like a few weeks of preparation beforehand. Try to spread some study, make sure that you're covering the syllabus over sort of a few months at least before the exam. Make sure that you're really familiar with the topics. Yeah, I think that's my main points. And I think there's some other people putting some suggestions in the chat as well.
Yeah, and Carl, if you have any additional resources that people might think would be helpful,
sure.
also chime in, please.
As Rebecca said, I mean, it is the curriculum, if you will, is the BCSC, and each question, when it is written, is tied to a particular section of the BCSC. So certainly, if you know the BCSC, you'll probably do very well. Now that's a lot of stuff. but ophthalmology is a lot of stuff. So, but that's probably number one. Now, we are working with Orbis, and hopefully most of you are familiar with Orbis, and they have a website called CyberSight. If you're not familiar, I definitely recommend it. A lot of great information. It's CYBERSIGHT, CyberSight. And they have a very large question bank. And I know in the US, I mean, our residents take, of course, the American Board of Ophthalmology exam, which is tied to the BCSE, and they do lots and lots of questions. And I think some people just study by answering questions. So CyberSight has thousands of questions for free on their website. So I think that would be another way, and it seems to be a pretty effective way for people to study. So I think that would be it. We are planning, we hope, in the future to have a more definite ophthalmology foundation study sort of guide and perhaps our own questions. But for right now, instead of reinventing the wheel, we're working with Orbis with their existing questions and curating those questions that are the ones that make sense to know for our exam.
Great, thank you, Carl. And then back to Rebecca, we got this question on Instagram. What is the patent of questions? Any negative marking?
No, there's no negative marking for sure. So you can use your educated guess, we've kept the questions sort of purposefully relatively simple. The structure of the questions is single best answer, best of four options. So there'll be a stem of the question, and then you have to pick the best answer of the four options. There should only be one correct answer for each one, but if you think that maybe two of them sound plausible, just pick the one that sounds the most likely. There's no trick questions. We're not trying to trip you up. There'll be no sort of nothing where we're sort of trying to trick you out with language, because our goal is to be able to have this translated in the fullness of time. So at some point we may, I believe it's not yet, but we may be hoping to offer these exams outside of just English. So we need to keep the language quite straightforward so that people can.
Sorry, Rebecca, just to interrupt. We do offer in French, Portuguese, and Spanish and Chinese.
You're
ahead. Sorry.
With translations. Okay, fantastic. So we will keep the questions relatively simply phrased so that they can be easily translated. So single best answer, four options, pick the best one, simple as that. Do people need to know how many questions in each paper as well? Or is that?
That might be helpful if you have that information at hand.
I do. So
okay, wonderful.
The first paper, the visual sciences, is going to be 120 multiple choice questions in 3 hours. Then the optics, refraction, and instruments is 60 questions in 1.5 hours. And the clinical ophthalmology part is 160 questions in 4 hours. So the same question structure for all of those questions. There may be some images, diagrams in the clinical part. There may be some short clinical scenarios for them as well, but that still the actual questions themselves will all be single best answer, best of four, no negative marking.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And then just to switch tracks a little bit, because exams go hand in hand with our fellowships program, which is in collaboration with the IOFF, which is the International Ophthalmological Fellowships Foundation, which Cordula leads here. So our question that we've gotten repeatedly is, do the Ophthalmology Foundation exams qualify candidates for fellowships? And, do they get any points towards their application review by passing the Ophthalmology Foundation exams?
Okay, thank you, Christine. So the Ophthalmology Foundation exams are not a mandatory requirement for an application for the fellowships program. However, we strongly recommend it, and we consider the Ophthalmology Foundation exams in our assessment. So for the formal part of the application, we give a total of 30 7 points, and 8 out of these 37 points actually are for taking the the Ophthalmology Foundation exams. So we give 2 points for the visual sciences, an extra of another 2 points for optics, refraction instruments, another 2 points for the clinical, and for a merit or distinction, we give another 2 points. Yeah, so we find it very important, and you should always consider that taking the Ophthalmology Foundation exams actually is kind of a knowledge passport, which is well recognized by our partners, which are mainly university eye hospitals all around the world. And it is very well appreciated if you are coming with the ophthalmology exams to the fellowship post. So the fellowship post actually knows what you are up to already. Generally speaking, our candidates have completed a residency training and have passed their specialist in ophthalmology degree. It is we actually are looking for people who are on a teaching position, which means that there is kind of a multiplier effect. And it is very important that you're looking back on a solid experience in your subspecialty so that you can actually focus on the questions that are recurring in your daily practice. Yes, another question that we have seen is actually regarding our age limit. We have an age limit of 40 years by the time of submitting the application. We are not very strict with very good candidates whose training will make really a good will bring a good benefit to their home countries and home clinics, rather than finding just those who are under 40. So if you're a little older than that, don't worry, just apply with us or contact me, and then we can discuss your request. Is there anything else that I should answer at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I know that there's questions coming in the Q&A, and Vicky's going to go through those, and we'll come back and address those a little bit later.
Okay.
So back with kind of the most common questions that we got during the registration process for this. Nicola, would you be able to, provide just a quick guide on registration steps? What do people need to do to get registered and ready to take the exams?
Yes, thanks, Christine. So our online portal, so our application form, can be found via the Ophthalmology Foundation website. And once you click on the link, it will take you to a separate page, and you need to put in your details. So things like your first name, a second name, email address, contact telephone number, and then just to verify that you're not a bot, it will ask for you to put a code in. Once you've submitted that and it's accepted, you'll receive an email saying that you have registered onto the online portal, and it will give you a password to log back on to the system, where you can then look and apply for exams. It gives you the opportunity to upload a photograph of yourself so that we can use for future reference. Tell us about the exams that you've passed, if you've been successful in previous exams, or whether you've been successful at ones that we actually recognise, which will exempt you from our visual and optics. And then you are able to choose which exam centre you'd like to take the exam. And again, just to reiterate, if you can't see your exam centre on there, then please tick other and type where you'd like to take it, and we will do our best to make sure that that's accommodated. And once you submit your application form, the ophthalmology exams team will receive an email notifying us of which exam you've applied for and where you'd like to take the exam. And then after us doing a validation process of who you are, and what exams you have previously taken, or what exams you've applied for, and you've made payment on the portal, then we'll be able to accept you, and you'll receive a subsequent email saying that you've been accepted. Now, if you've ticked other and have requested an exam set location that's not on there, you'll receive an email to say that we are looking for an exam venue for you. And then throughout that process, we'll continually keep you updated. On the online portal, you can use that to change your details, You can log on and ask questions. You can raise queries with us via the online portal. It's very much your portal, that we don't have access to your material just when you communicate with us via exams. It's very much your portal to be able to communicate with us, and to be able to update your details. I briefly touched on payment system. You can go on there, you can make payment by credit card, debit card. They're also, for some countries, a process where you can spread the payment over 3 payments, so 3 months, with no interest. And there is also a sponsor page. So if you're lucky enough to have your exam sponsored by your institution or a company, then you can go on there and click sponsored and provide details of your sponsor, and then from then the exams team will communicate with your sponsor, and follow that process. But all through the process, as Vicky said earlier, it's very much like a journey. You're part of our family. We'll keep you updated with any changes, and support you through the process. Just to touch on one other thing, Christine, that there's also, when you're applying for the clinical examination, just note that we are awarding a David and Molly Pyatt Award, which is a $10,000 travel grant, for the top passing candidate of the clinical ophthalmology exam, and that is over 2 diets. So obviously we've conducted the one in March, and we have a top passing candidate, and then the same will happen in September, and then in October, when the results are announced, at the beginning of the month, we will announce the top passing clinical ophthalmology candidate, who will be awarded the $10,000 from the David and Molly Pyatt Foundation.
Wonderful. And then for folks who passed all the exams, passed the clinical, I've heard there's a post-nominal offered.
That's correct. So the post-nominal is get this right, FIOF, a fellow of the International Ophthalmology Foundation. You get a fantastic certificate, so all our certificates are, we've got gold, silver, and bronze. Gold for the clinical. They're all embossed, they're all imprinted with a hologram. Really nice quality certificate to be very proud of and put up on in your office, on your wall. They're embossed. They're sent out within 2 to 3 weeks of the results being announced, via DHL. So we hope that it reaches you with a letter. So so FIOF will be printed on your clinical certificate. Something to be very proud of.
Thank you. And so, Rosie, would you be able to tell us when is the closing date? And if people don't make it for the September exam, do we have a date for March next year?
Thank you, Christine. We do. So registration is currently open for our September 24th examination, and that will close at the end of July. And then, as Christine said, we do have our exams starting next year as well, if you're not completely ready for the September exam. And that will take place, the first one, on March 26th, with registration opening for that this October 1st.
Wonderful, thank you. Vicky, if someone has done some ICO exams, does that exempt you from parts of the ophthalmology exam, say if they've taken the optics and visual sciences?
As Cole touched on it a moment ago, we do offer exemption from our visual and optics exams, only if you've passed the ICO exams prior to 2022, inclusive of 2022. So you're exempt from our visual and optics if you've passed 2022 and prior.
Wonderful, thank you.
And Christine,
yes,
can I interrupt for a second? There's also
absolutely
1 or 2 questions about, Cordula had mentioned the points. What if you pass the ICO and then you got to take the clinical exam? Do you still get 8 points for the fellowship, or you only get the points from the ophthalmology foundation exam?
Okay, we haven't had this case yet because it's too early. But if somebody has been exempted for the visual and the optics and refraction from the ophthalmology exams batch, and has taken the ophthalmology foundation clinical examination, we would give the 6 points. Yes, of course.
Wonderful. And so that was the end of kind of the most common questions we received in preparation for the webinar. Vicky, has there been any recurring questions or, excuse me, anything that we haven't addressed at this point?
We're getting quite a lot about fellowships, so maybe at the end we could put some contact details for this fellowship program up, so the
Absolutely. Yes.
attendees can maybe check that. Mainly about how it's scored. I think maybe we could go over that again, as there's quite a lot about the scoring system. Yeah, and a lot about the points. If you've passed ICO prior, then taken hours. Somebody's also asked if they've passed the visual and optics but failed clinical, can they still apply for the fellowship?
Interesting. All right. Shall we start with scoring? And who would like to address that?
I think if that's scoring fellowships, it must be Cordula.
They're scoring the exams, Rebecca, sorry.
Oh, scoring the exams. Oh, okay. So the exam, so we add up how many points you've got, and then it's not a fixed pass mark, it's decided because obviously how difficult the exam is may fluctuate ever so slightly from sitting to sitting. We have a panel who do a standard setting process. And then it's kind of technical, but we look at each question, how that question performs, whether it was a good question or not, how everybody scored on the exam. We look at the overall standard. We look at how many candidates we think of the right, what proportion of candidates we think should be able to answer each question correctly if they were the standard we're looking for. And then basically we collaboratively use a sort of educational science method to set the pass mark. So the pass mark isn't exactly the same every time, but yeah.
It's called the Angoff method.
Yeah,
it's called the Angoff method. And it says standard setting procedure.
Yeah, ANGHOFF. Yeah.
And that's widely used in medical examinations. So we're comparable in that process with other organisations, especially for ophthalmology.
Actually, ANGOFF. No H. Just.
Wonderful. Did we answer Cordula's question?
So there's more coming in for Cordula.
All right.
So is there a rank-based or score-based consideration for being awarded a fellowship? If yes, can a candidate give repeated attempts if not satisfied with the earlier result?
So actually, regularly we say no, it is one attempt for an application for a fellowship, but also here, if somebody has really performed, has enhanced his qualifications towards a fellowship, then we allow a second try. Yes. However, still, this should be kind of within our age range, because we have so many candidates that it is difficult for us to also consider candidates who are above 45, 50 years of age. Does this answer your question?
I see a question as well that I think I can answer about opportunities for candidates to participate in the Foundation's global outreach or charity initiatives, contributing their skills toward international eye care, like participating in cybersite missions. So we don't have any formal agreement with Orbis about you participating with Orbis's missions and teaching endeavors. In terms of what the Ophthalmology Foundation is doing, we're not really teaching people about neuro-ophthalmology. We are teaching people how to teach and be better educators. So certainly we are looking for young ophthalmologists interested in teaching and education from that standpoint. So so you can contact me at the Ophthalmology Foundation if you're really interested in that sort of a thing, but we're always looking for young ophthalmologists who might want to be involved with those sorts of endeavors. You do not need a degree in education. It'd be nice, but not many ophthalmologists have a degree in education. But so we're looking for those individuals.
Maybe that's a good point for me to kind of come in. I talked about the kind of journey of learning. I'd like to think for all of us in whatever pursuit of life or work we're in, the days of just graduating in your 20s or some age like that and then saying, okay, it's over, is completely finished. You know, we continue learning every decade. And if you think of what we're offering, probably the entry point is passing the exams after you've already graduated as an ophthalmologist. And then, you know, the next stage may be going on one of the fellowships that Cordula has explained. And then if all that's still very interesting, maybe you volunteer to be part of one of the working groups that Carl spoke about. And, you know, eventually you're going to become maybe a residency program director. You may be head of an eye institute or a head of your own large eye care practice. It could be in the private sector, depends on your country. And that could be the point where you then actually then become a trainer to teach those behind you. And that was the role that Carl was just covering. So I see this as really a lifelong journey of just moving along. And of course, there's no right or wrong path. Everybody will choose the one that fits their goals for their own personal practice, their career, their family. And, you know, all of the answers are good ones.
And one other thing we haven't mentioned as part of the things that we do in the faculty development section is we have a mentor-mentee program online. And so you can sign up to be a mentee and look at the list of mentors. And I mean, I personally have some number of mentees, and we have Zoom meetings and give advice and so on. But so we do have that program as well. I mean, if you look at our website, you'll see that it's fairly rich with a variety of different things. We have an online free series for improving your educational abilities, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all sorts of stuff we haven't talked about, but you can investigate that on the website. And certainly we're happy to answer any questions about any aspect of what we do.
Thanks, Carl. We've also gotten some questions about kind of expanding. Are we going to be doing subspecialty exams? Nicola, can you address that?
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, so obviously we have the visual optics and the clinical at the moment. This is the first process, so we're running our second diet in September. And then we are already planning now to have subspecialty exams. And we have so many fantastic members on our exams committee that are promoting subspecialty exams, and one of those being Ashok Grover, Dr. Ashok Grover from New Delhi. And we are in discussions with him and the AIOS, especially on how we can implement subspecialty exams across India, but also the rest of the world, but with a focus initially on India. And so that's very exciting. Initial discussions now, and we're going to move quite quickly through that process and hope to have them for the latter part of 2026.
Wonderful. And then just to move back to fellowships quickly, Cordula, there's clarifying questions as always. If someone passes an ICO exam, do they still get points to their application? And then similarly, if they've completed a fellowship somewhere else, does that help their application?
It doesn't it doesn't impact the application. So of course since we have many more candidates than actually funds available, we have to do a selection, and we can't give awards to everybody. And of course, we consider if there is no exam center in the country, as one of the candidates was just asking. And so we try to find a good solution for everybody who has got any concerns. Just contact me and I'll help you through the process.
Wonderful. All right. Are there any other
sorry, Christine, I just see that there is a question regarding if somebody has contact to hosts on different times and those hosts haven't replied yet, and it has been over a year. So also in this case, kindly let me know, and I'm going to help you through how to move on with the application. Of course, if a host doesn't reply after 2 weeks, I think it is very reasonable to resend the application, attaching again the application summary and also the letter of intent. And also sometimes it is helpful to call the host's office. It can be helpful. And so but if you don't succeed, just let me know and we are going to find a solution there too.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that we've missed, do you think, Nicola, that, folks should know as they're preparing to apply to the exams?
There is one question for Carl, directed to Carl, that says,
Perfect.
you mentioned that mentorship opportunities are available through the foundation. May I please know how can one get mentored or be connected with mentors through the program?
Yes, so if you go to our website, which is simply ophthalmologyfoundation.org, under programs, there's a mentor link. And there are listed then a whole number of mentors and their sort of areas of expertise they think they can actually be an effective mentor. And then you simply email someone that looks like a good fit and ask them, hey, would you be my mentor? We also want mentees, or excuse me, mentors, if you think you can be a mentor. Either way, I think would be good. The other question, maybe Vicky answered it in the thing, was I think to see how much it costs, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to register and put in your country. You don't have to pay money, but is that right, Nicola? Or can you just look and say, India, how much does it cost? You know what I mean?
No, sorry, what does that mean?
So
the
let me
question is-
answer. I think let me have a shot at this and
Yeah.
follow up, Nicola. So of course, we all know when we log on to the internet on any system, the provider knows exactly where you're logging in from. So if you have an IP address in India, you'll see the price for India. If you log in from South Africa, you'll see the price for South Africa, and so on. So I think this is the best way to answer that question, and it's all very clearly laid out. And we believe that we offer a very competitive price. As I said earlier, our goal isn't to make a lot of money out of this. We're a charity. We're a mission-driven organization.
And just to back David up on those comments, it does pick up your VPN, so that's essential. But also, we are roughly half the price of any other comparable international exams at present, so worth noting.
Great. And then also, Nicola, if someone wants to become a host center for the exams, how would they go about doing that?
Thanks, Christine. Great question. Yes, if you are interested in becoming a host and you have trainees that would like to participate in the exam, then please contact me via email. We will then send you a form that needs to be completed and submitted to the exams team, and then we'll do a review process. And from there, maybe have some communication by email or a Zoom call, and then establish you as a centre, and your details will be put onto our online portal and candidates can apply. One of the two things that we actually look for is that you can provide, or three things, you can provide a quiet room, good internet access, and someone to invigilate through the duration of the exams. But again, we will send you a form asking all those questions, and once completed, we can go from there.
Great. Thank you. So I'm going to put up a slide with a QR code and links to our socials and email addresses. So anyone here, take a picture of the QR code, screenshot your screen, and then also our website, ophthalmologyfoundation.org is how you find us. And then while we have that up, is there anything?
Just a few questions, sorry. They're just asking where they can get the recording from.
That will be emailed out to everyone who is registered, so that includes everyone here. We'll probably trim the recording a bit just to, keep it brief, but that will be circulated, in the next day or so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If somebody didn't pass the exam in the first attempt, the price of the exam can deter someone from taking exams again. Is there any concession in pricing during the second attempt?
No. So the fees are set for the visual sciences, the optics and refraction, and the clinical ophthalmology. And whilst I know it can be disheartening if you're not successful in any of those exams to have to retake, unfortunately, that is the process at present. We, as David did mention earlier, we are a charity. Our fees are low comparable to any other international exam, and our aim is not to make a profit. So as the participation grows and the numbers grow, our aim is to be able to reduce the fees. And so with that in mind, our process at the moment is to have the exam fees for resit exactly the same from the first application.
Wonderful. All right. And so with that, I think we're going to conclude the general Q&A, and now we're going to move to more specific questions from those who have joined from YOSI in India. But thank you everyone else from around the world who's joined us today. We're so happy that you're interested in the Ophthalmology Foundation and our examinations, and hope to see you at one of our exam centers in the future. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my slides so that we can all see each other again.
Diva, any comments from your side?
Right. So, I mean, it was a very interesting discussion. A lot of things have been answered, and we would, a lot of our goals as we see are aligned in terms of training, in terms of, recognizing the training that our young ophthalmologists do. And what we have also observed that it comes at an affordable cost with the Ophthalmology Foundation, especially the training part, the fellowship part. I think that is something which our colleagues in India, they want it also, and they are also capable of, providing these trainings as well. So it's a two-way thing that really works for us. And our members of Young Ophthalmologist Society of India, and, they're very keen on going abroad and updating whatever they have learned. So Ophthalmology Foundation stands for a lot of things that Young Ophthalmologists of Society of India also seeks to achieve through its various initiatives. And yeah, so we are very excited for this collaboration, and we really want Ophthalmology Foundation, the thought process that it has to reach as many people as possible. And the colleagues, our members that we have talked to recently after we came into this collaboration, so they're very excited, and they're very looking forward to giving these exams, being part of the fellowship, the training opportunities. And yeah, it's very interesting times ahead. And Prasanna, few words from you.
Yes, sir. As rightly pointed out, I was previously, I've completed my ICO before 2022. And I think going forward, the IOFF program, the offers that it has to give to our young ophthalmologists from India, especially the post-COVID era, as we can see today, the question and answer sessions that we had, most of our members were very active in the Q&A. I think at a time we had around 96 to 97 plus attendees who are very eager and very, passionate to learn these programs or go out of the country, update and upgrade themselves and come back to India and then maybe apply it for the benefit of our community. So I think this is a wonderful initiative, and even the Dr. David Payot grant that you mentioned, the point system that you guys mentioned, I think these are all very amazing, because I think what YOSI stands for is a testament of uplifting young ophthalmologists in India. And as our president, Dr. Devakant, rightly mentioned, I think we are very eagerly looking forward to this collaboration with the Ophthalmology Foundation, as we feel it is going to take our members forward on the global platform to upgrade their surgical skills, or even, the fellowship programs, the observation programs that you guys have. And I think it's a very exciting time, and we are very eagerly looking forward to it. We are very grateful to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. I think, as we know, it'd be really good if you could, put the information out on your website, your newsletter. What we've seen elsewhere is it takes multiple distributions, and I think it's a bit like, because I used to be in a way back, in consumer marketing, where you can imagine if you're sitting in front of your TV set looking at a new washing powder, something completely non-ophthalmology, it takes multiple occasions until you go, huh, there's that product again on TV. I better pay attention. It's just human nature. It requires multiple times. And then people finally go, oh, I've read that 5 times. It's now time to take action. And in this case, hopefully sign up and, do the Ophthalmology Foundation exam.
Wonderful.
Great.
I think, Cordula, did you have one more point to make? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, there was a question whether somebody gets extra points towards a fellowship award if a host program has accepted the candidate in advance. Actually, the host acceptance is part of the application file, so we don't give an extra points towards a fellowship award if somebody has an acceptance earlier. And I wanted to point out that in the application process, there are 3 questions to be answered regarding motivation, regarding candidates' expectation, and also regarding the impact that a candidate wants to gain from attending the program. And I wanted to encourage everybody who wants to apply for it to consider very well your answers, to explain in detail what your current recurring concerns or challenges are in your subspecialty, and also to discuss it with the host institution you wish to apply for. So just to make sure that your expectations will be met during a fellowship, and also because for us it is very important to know about your motivation, your expectations, so that we can decide if we can. And we consider this in our assessment as well. So this is very important to us and should find your immediate attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Cordula.
So we have a doubt from the side of Young Ophthalmologist Society of India. If I may ask the question here to the panel.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So with this collaboration that we are looking at, so what the UC members would get from this collaboration, how do we take it forward with the UC and Ophthalmology Foundation?
Well, I think probably I should answer that one. So I think the first step is really trying to get this examination, working with your membership. I think the second part, as you've certainly seen from the degree of interest, is then gradually getting to the second step, right, which is some subgroup of the 100 fellowships that exist for the world, ending up being with highly eligible Indian candidates. And clearly we understand the way the flow works, that typically your members would end up going to the UK, Germany, US, maybe Australia. There are other centers as well. Recently, somebody asked me, I was speaking with a group in Latin America, and they made a comment about, being trained in Spanish, because I was actually speaking Spanish to them. Fortunately, I lived in Spain a way back. And I made a comment there that you can think particularly of people speaking French. If you're from West Africa, from part of, what used to be, French colonial territory going back, 100 years, those people feel very uncomfortable many times, doing things in English. So being able to offer host centers in Paris, for instance, or sometimes North Africa, because of course, from a cost of living perspective, if you go to Marrakesh or Tunis, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than going to Paris. So those are the kinds of things that we do as we kind of stretch around the world, because clearly you can see this is extremely inclusive.
Thank you, sir. Because as you can see, the interest today, I'm totally agreeing with you on the marketing front, where we did circulate this webinar to all our members, to our 2,500 to 3,000 members, and you can see the response today that each one is very avidly interested in this examination that is newly doing the rounds. And we just wanted to know what it is going to, for the attendees who are here, who are listening to us, I think it will really benefit them to hear it from you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I think what we'll also see in practice is, from memory, we have, it's like 6 or 7 current host centers in India. And as, of course, India is a subcontinent. It's not a small country. And, as candidates come through, we may be coming back to you to say, do we have, a center in a secondary city, in Lucknow. I'm not trying to pick anywhere, but just one of the gaps. And that's where we'll work together, either through our network or coming back to you saying, who do we know that could, become a center and offer that small, if it's just a couple of candidates, a room that's quiet with the reasonable internet connection.
Rebecca?
Yeah, I was just going to add about being a centre, having hosted some of these fellows myself. It's really fun. We get to meet people from around the world, sometimes from countries that we never dreamed. I think we have one from Kazakhstan. We don't expect to interact with these people on a day-to-day basis, and it's really fun and interesting. So, but the only way that as host centers we become host centers is to hear about it and be encouraged to join the network. So if you've got contacts in other countries or somebody that you find inspiring, there's nothing wrong with suggesting to them, how about becoming an IOFF host center, and would you ever consider hosting somebody? And the same with your senior colleagues in India, if you think they'd be a great host center, because another one of the challenges is there's different regulatory rules in different countries. So if somebody comes to the UK and they haven't passed all the relevant licensing exams, they can only observe. We can show you surgery, but you can't actually perform the surgery yourself if you're not registered in the UK. Whereas there's different rules in some other countries. So that it may be that some host countries can give you actually more hands-on experience with the patients. I think, would that be right, Cordula? I'm not overstepping to say that.
No. Thank you, Rebecca. You are completely right. That is correct. And we always want to encourage all of you, if you know somebody who wants to become a host, to refer this person to us or this institute to us. And yes, and I think this is also one of the very big advantages of the program, that we get people together and we get to know each other. And this is always good for, at least it's good for creating a robust network of ophthalmologists all around the world. And in my pretty long experience of running the fellowships program, actually, I make the experience that these contacts are very good, and they are kept over many years, and people still meet on maybe not on a daily or yearly basis, but they meet from time to time and they exchange. And it's a very good opportunity actually to support also ophthalmology in low resource and underserved countries. And I'm very, very grateful for your support, Rebecca, and it's wonderful to have you on board. And thank you.
Sir and ma'am, another quick question. So if
Yes,
two, 3 people are collaborating together to write the exam, or our members, would they be able to get a special prize or something? As young ophthalmologists from this part of the world, it would mean a lot if that is possible. Or do you guys provide that if 3, 4 people pull together, or if it's a OC member who is going to take this exam for that matter?
Yeah, I think basically the prices we've developed. Let's Nicola, go back. I'll pass that one to you.
Thank you. So yes, we've had previous discussions with the Young Ophthalmology Society of India, and post the examination process closing for each diet, then we review how many applicants from your region that have been accepted for the exam, and then we will get back to you on a reimbursement of fee, and then that would be that they I believe that they then get that off of their fee for
Membership.
registration for your society. So I think that initially when the candidate applies for our exam, there is no reduction apart from the already reduced fee that we offer candidates in India. But then post registration, that is something that will be put in place depending on the number of registrants from that region.
Yep. That's right. Yep. So that's a good example of the more people you can get, the more membership rebates you can offer your group.
Exactly. So again, before we go, I think it's I'd like to emphasize that please spread the word. We've had a great participation on this today. Over, I think any one time, Christine, was it over 79 at one point?
It's about 100.
Yes.
It was 100. Brilliant. Okay. So I think this is recording is available for you to distribute. So send out to your colleagues, your friends, anyone that you think may be interested in the exams and becoming a host. Let's spread the word. There are flyers on our website that are easily downloadable. I know WhatsApp is a desired communication tool. So let's spread the word. As David Pyatt just said, that the more we get involved, then the more likely the fees to be reduced in the future. So we are a team, all of us, not just the volunteers and staff that are working with the Ophthalmology Foundation, everyone as a whole. So let's try and spread the word.
Great, excellent.
Sorry.
I think we need to kind of wrap up here. We're over the hour.
Yeah. Vicky, was there one last question?
It's two, but let's go back to one now. But the other one is, do you offer group discounts?
That's what we were talking about.
Right.
Yep. And so it sounds like it's more society based rather than an individual
Sorry, you mean
group of colleagues. Yeah.
So this is in a society, it's like I say, a group of candidates. Together.
No,
not at the moment. The fee's already reduced for each country, depending on the World Bank Index. So there's no benefit of a group application unless you're applying through a society.
Thank you.
Wonderful. David, do you want to provide any closing?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you for a lot of interest. I think that the fact that we had a really active set of questions is always a sign of that we're all trying to dig in. And we look forward to working with you, and those that are prospective candidates, please sign up soon. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all.